All right, now that we've discussed the internal assets, I want to come back and start talking about these external assets. So, what the Search Institute suggests is that there are four external assets. These are things that communities can do, that teachers can do, that environments can be created to help foster and support those internal assets, right? And so the first is support. The second is empowerment. The third is boundaries and expectations. And the fourth is constructive use of time, right? And so when we talk about this idea of support, what we mean is that there should be opportunities for family support. So what that means is a number of different things, right? So I was talking with the St. Cloud police chief, Chief William Blair Anderson, and one of the things that we talked about was the fact that in the summertime he does a crime prevention and lunch program simultaneously in the city of St. Cloud. And I said, sir, what is the relevance of doing a lunch program with community policing? And he said, if we don't support these families by feeding these kids in the summertime, we certainly can't expect them not to commit crimes. And so that was his way of giving family support by providing lunches for young people as a part of his program in the summertime, right? And so that becomes very interesting. When we also talk about support, we also talk about positive family communication. So too often when we have parent-teacher conferences, we want to talk about all the bad things that kids are doing, and very often we don't spend enough time talking about the good things that students are doing. And so engaging parents and family in nights where we demonstrate and we show positive behaviors and we reward them and we thank them becomes extremely important. We also know that it is helpful when young people have outside of their family, when they have adults that pay attention to them, that mentor them, that interact with them in positive ways, that has a profound impact on their ability to learn, change, and grow. And so, and that goes for the extension of that family into the neighborhood, into the school climate, and into the environment at large. When parents feel that their community is a safe place for their kids, and people in the community see their kids as assets and not problems, when folks in the when parents and family feel that they're that the school climate or sees their kids as assets, they're much more likely to be more involved in those than when young people are seen as punitive. Empowerment. Make sure that that the community values its youth. And so how do you demonstrate that? As community members, it's important block captains have summer award programs for gardens, for kids, recognizing kids doing well, as community block captains or whatnot. Collect the grade cards of students, or gift certificates, or that kind of thing, because that becomes extremely important. See youth as resources. Young people can do lots of things, not just pick up when they've done something wrong, but they can actually fix things, they can demonstrate things, they can teach things, use the gifts and talents that they've been working with at school in a community setting or in a home setting. And then make sure that they give those services away to others. One of the best ways that I've learned is to teach young people is to have them teach someone else. And so each one teach one becomes an important way of engaging young people, particularly if you involve them in ways that that they have to demonstrate their skills. And then it's also important to make sure that young people have a safe environment, an environment that is physically, mentally, spiritually safe for them to produce all of those other things. And so making sure that young people see the police as people who can help them as opposed to people who are out to hurt them. One of the things that I think that is very detrimental, particularly when we start talking about this idea of empowerment and creating safety, is when parents try to use the police as a disciplinary tool. If you don't act right, that police officer over there will arrest you. Whenever we see that, we need to encourage parents to think about what's the appropriate way to use law enforcement and to have those conversations with our young people. It's also important that we have boundaries clearly identified for our young people. Young people want this mix, this paradox, if you will, of boundaries and freedom, right? They want the ability to make choices, but we have to limit their choices. The example I often give about this is asking a young person if they want ice cream or peas. Well, that seems like a very disingenuous answer because most young people will select the ice cream over the peas. However, if you want to increase your results of helping young people make better decisions, you ask the young people, do you want carrots or peas? Right? Or you may ask a young person, do you want to eat 10 peas or do you want to eat 20 peas? You're more likely to get them to eat the 10 peas given the fact that you've narrowed those choices. And so that becomes extremely important. It's also important that we have adults that are role models that actually raise the expectations of our young people. That we allow young people to be young people and adults to, in fact, be adults. I am always reminded of this particular story of going to the Mall of America and listening to a group of young people talk to each other in a very disrespectful way. And I am of the mind that all children belong to me. They are a part of my family and are also my responsibility. And so in hearing these young people speaking disrespectfully to each other, I said I must intervene if I am going to practice what it is that I preach. And so in my intervening, I went over to the young people and I asked them politely if they could stop the disrespectful way that they were talking to each other. And to my surprise, one of the bigger boys steps out of the middle of the group and he looks at me eyeball to eyeball and he says, "Yes, sir." Now, I was extremely excited on the inside. I did not demonstrate that on the outside. I thanked them all and I went about my way. But what I was trying to do was not disrespect them, but to have them stop disrespecting themselves. And so we need adults who will role model that appreciation for our young people so that they can see that. They also need to have positive peer influences. And so as teachers, as guides, as parents, we need to support each other in making sure that those poor influences don't become so attractive that our young people start to follow the poor influence as opposed to the positive influence. And we must always have high expectations. Students, children will rise and fall to the level of our expectations. And so we have to work with them on that. And then lastly, this external asset is constructive use of time. And we have to recognize that time is an asset, just like money, just like any other commodity. There is a there's a specific way that we can use it to maximize it, or we can actually waste it. And so what the Search Institute suggests is that we be very focused on making sure that young people are engaged with their time in productive processes. And so once we're able to secure that young people are engaged in those things, we can create an environment. These external assets start to create an environment that help us to be able to increase their internal assets as it pertains to closing these educational gaps. And so when we look at these external assets, these are very practical things that we can pay attention to that will help us to be able to close that educational gap, to eliminate these disparities. My name is Andre Cohen, and I thank you for your time. We'll come back with a little bit more in just a bit, but I wanted to give you this to chew on and give you these practical tools to work with. And so as you continually learn and grow, I'd encourage you to look at these 40 developmental assets from the Search Institute as a way of really increasing your ability to work with parents and family and guardians as we try to create an atmosphere that closes this educational gap. Again, my name is Andre Cohen, and thank you so much for joining us.